Steve Martorano, welcome to the Man of War podcast, brother. Thank you for being on with us.
My pleasure, cuz. My pleasure.
Awesome. Okay, so today, what I want to do is kind of dive in a little bit and get to know who you are. I've been following you for, a bunch of years. I've seen you really, your journey has been unbelievable. I know that you're a man who speaks his heart, and I love that. It's very, very powerful. So what I want to do first and foremost, for those who don't really know who you are, can you just give a little glimpse of who Steve Martorano is nowadays?
Very complex. Just an Italian-American guy that born and raised in South Philly and was headed down a path that we all thought at the time was a good path to go down. And I realized in time it wasn't the place where I wanted to be. And I stepped over to a different side, and my life has been a journey of ups and downs since then. So, yeah.
Well, it's been a journey. I mean, I've seen you change and completely but one thing that you stayed your course is in that restaurant. I've seen you there like, wow.
From the beginning till today. It's almost 34 years, almost.
Wow. All right, so going back into this, You came here in Florida. What age were you when you got here?
I was in my early 40s, and I'm 67 now. So it's like,
wow. Born and raised?
South Philadelphia. I had two neighborhoods. One was my father's parents was on 7th and Fitzwater in South Philly. My mother and my grandmother on her side was from 28th and McKean. Two separate areas. So I had two educations. One was a real Italian-American on my father's side. On my mother's side was a mix. A little bit of Irish, a little bit of Polish, Italian, black, a little bit of everything we had in that area.
And so you were already a grown man by the time you got here to Florida. Tell me a little bit about
That's questionable, guys. That's questionable.
Gotcha. So tell me a little bit about your childhood. You were born in South Philly?
Born in South Philadelphia, from Italian-American family. My grandmother was born here. My other grandmother was born here. My grandfather on my father's side was born in Palermo, Sicily, and came here. So we're Sicilian, the way I look at 100%. But I grew up in a good time. I wouldn't change the way I was raised today. Like, I wouldn't want to grow up today. I'm grateful that I grew up then. It built character, which is one of the most important things in my life is character. So I wouldn't change nothing. Born and raised in Philly, South Philadelphia, Italian-American neighborhood. I wouldn't change nothing.
Wow, amazing. All right, so here you are. You came to South Florida, and
that's a story. It's because listen. Luck's got a lot to do with things. No one fool you. Luck and determination and not giving up on yourself, that's all. But some of it's got to do with luck. And but some are meant to be. And I really believe in my heart that if I didn't come to Florida, I would have been either killed or did a long period of time, did a long bit in prison. That's the truth.
Wow.
One of the two. Yeah.
All right. Was your upbringing a rough upbringing, or was?
No, not at all. I come from a very influenced family in Philadelphia, which was the Martorano family. My uncle was Long John Martorano, Raymond Long John Martorano, and he was part of the Bruno family in South Philly. So growing up with a last name like mine, you had to handle yourself a certain way. If not, you caught a beating. You caught a beating from your uncles. You caught a beating from your father. If you weren't, today we don't have that today. But when I was growing up, you had to handle yourself like a man. So as far as I'm concerned, I had to become a man early in my life. So I would say when I hit like 16, I realized who my family was. They were in the paper every week. You went to a certain place, they gave you that respect. Young kid, you got that respect of who your family was. So. And I idolized that life because that's all I knew. I didn't look at accountants or lawyers or doctors. I didn't want to go to school. If my uncle walked into a joint, like, people stood up and kissed him, shook his hand. To me, that was respect. I wanted that. And then with life, things change, and people go to jail for a very long time. They get killed. A lot of my dear, close friends were murdered for whatever reason. And I didn't want to go down that road because I figured, listen, I don't see nobody retiring on the hill with a white picket fence.
Yep.
I didn't see it. If you showed me that, then I got a shot. I want that. But nobody was doing that. So I wanted something better.
Sure.
And I think my faith had a lot to do with where my life is today. I think God touched me early in my life, so I was fighting two worlds, the good world and the bad world.
So what made you start, out of all things, a restaurant? You know, and even going back, who taught you how to cook?
We don't have enough time. But the question you just said, why did I do that? And behind me is my guy, right? Sylvester Stallone, Rocky. He made a comment in his first movie because I couldn't sing or dance. I didn't know anything else. But there was two passions in my life. One was music. I loved music. I wanted to be a producer, and I produced a couple albums back in the day. But I was a DJ, and I worked all the hottest clubs in Philly and Jersey. And in time, when people were getting killed and people were going to jail, I was getting a little tired of the music business, going out in that club thing. So my father had a little bar in South Philly, was on 11th and Ellsworth. It was called Anton's. I changed the name to Italian Casiata, which is Italian Casiata, which is House of Italians. And we had a cook. Her name was Carmela. She would cook, but I didn't like how she cooked. And I would, behind her back, I'm fixing stuff that was going up back in my life.
Yeah.
And me and my father, listen, I love my father at that, but we didn't see eye to eye. My father I wanted things. You got to spend money to make money. I was like 18, 19 years old. He didn't understand that. So I wanted to do things that we kept butting heads. And then one day I went, you know what? I'm going to do something else. And I left. What am I doing? I ain't got no money.
Yeah.
So I said, let me sell sandwiches out of my apartment. I had an apartment. Wow. So I made a flyer that said, Steve's Italian Kitchen with a phone number, no address. So if anybody would call, they'd say, where you located? I would give them my father's bar as an address.
Gotcha.
So I get away with it.
Yeah, sure.
I did that for like 5 years. And I got a phone call, a friend of mine that says, the cops are coming, they're going to shut you down. They know you got a business out of your apartment. What are you going to do? What am I going to do? I'll take the refrigerator and the slice, I'll take it to my mother's house. So I did. I took it to the basement, same phone number. And for 5 years, I'm selling sandwiches out of my mother's basement. In the beginning, I would make the sandwich, I would deliver it, I would get out of my car, take the $2 tip, whatever, go back, put the phone back on the hook, and wait for the next call.
Yeah.
I did that till I started to have a driver, like a delivery guy. Then my mother would wash my frying pans in the sink where the laundry where the washed clothes at, where the hose would come into the sink. She would wash the pots and pans in there. I'd make the sandwiches, and I had the guy wrap the sandwiches, and he delivered them. I did that for 5 years, and I made a good living with that.
Oh,
yeah.
man. Wow, so that's an amazing story. I mean, you were an entrepreneur right off the bat.
That's what
Had
they
to make
say,
money,
yeah.
and you figured it out.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Amazing.
Because I always made money. Like growing up, we had these addresses that were in front of your house on the curb. They would have my mother's was 1831. So you had the address up on the wall, and on the street it had 1831. So you would get what do you call that? A stenciler. And I would spray paint and knock on the door. I said, I just spray painted your address. It looks nice. You want to give me something like $5? So I put the $5 in my pocket. Then I sold pretzels. I shined shoes. I always basically worked for myself. I didn't like answering to people. If I made a mistake, I want to be responsible for that mistake. If I wanted to make a decision, I want to be able to make that. I didn't want to ask anybody.
Sure.
But then I got into the music business. I had to work for guys, but I was really that good that nobody really bothered me, you know? So then when my uncle got pinched and he went away, and my cousin George, who is the longest serving nonviolent offender in the history of this country, George Martorano, he's home now. He got life without parole, and he took a plea. Now, you're law enforcement, man. He took a plea, he got life without parole. Did 32 years. When Obama, released people, he was one of them. So he's home now. He's in South Philly. He's doing really good. He's writing. He's doing plays. But I had a friend of mine down here. He played with Joe Namath. He was place called the Bachelor's 3 in Fort Lauderdale. It was a nightclub. They had one in New York. It was him, Bobby Van, and Joe Namath. So they had these clubs going on, and I was like watching everybody go to jail, and I'm saying, I want to get out of here, but I didn't know where to go. So he called me. I told him the story. He said, why don't you come to Florida? Okay, and do what? Open up something. I had no money.
Yeah.
We'll make it work. So I went and I stood at a friend of mine's house down here, and, well, my ex-wife, Debbie, was her friend, too. I came here for 3 days, and they drove me around looking at in Coral Springs. Now, Coral Springs is what, about half hour from here?
Yeah, 20 minutes.
They're driving me around. I'm going to pizzerias. This is the best they got in Coral Springs. I said, it's 9 o'clock at night. They're all closed. This ain't for me. I'm going to go home.
Yeah.
So I'm saying this Friday, Sunday, I'm going home. As I'm going home, he calls me on the phone. Ray, he lives across the street from where I'm at now. He'd say to me, where you at? I says, I'm in Coral Springs. It's not for me. I'm going home. He goes, stop in Fort Lauderdale. Let me show you something. I'm done. I'm going back to Philly, man. And I'm driving on 95, and he's blowing my phone up. Do me this favor. Please, just look at this. I said, all right, leave me alone. I'm coming, but I'm getting on the plane. Because if I don't stop, my life's different. I'm not in Florida. So I pull up to this 800 square foot with a pink awning. I said, what am I doing here? But I looked in the window, and just like that, I said, this is for me. They had 4 tables. I didn't know how much the rent was. I don't know how much the guy wanted for his business. I got no money. I had to sell some property, the things that I had in Philly, to make a little bit of scuttle. So, and that's how my life changed to Conde, Florida. But if I don't listen to Ray, and I don't go look at this joint, my life's different. I don't know. I got to be dead or in jail.
Wow. Yes. I talk about it all the time. One little thing makes the difference in your entire life. So you started Martorano's in what year?
81. About a year to get it ready. The ironic part is the guy wanted X amount of dollars. So when I say I had a property in Philly, I had it sold. After I sold it, I paid all my bills. I actually came down here with like $80,000. I had to get put a deposit on a home when I got here in Coral Springs, where it was a good school system for my kids.
Sure.
I had to give this guy a little bit of money. At the end of what I'm all done, I opened that door with $40 in my pocket and 1 credit card.
Wow.
And my ex-wife says, if you don't make payroll, it's me, her, my mother, and a dishwasher. We don't make payroll, we got to go to the credit card. And that's what I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
But from the time I opened my door, I never had to use that credit card. It just worked.
Wow.
And like you said, I'm there. If I'm in town, I'm working that line. I'm not at the bar. I'm not drinking. I'm not at a table trying to talk to somebody or smooth somebody. I'm working. And if I go to one of my other restaurants and they say, can Steve come over to the table? No, Steve's in his kitchen watching and teaching them guys how this food has to go out tonight. That's how I live my life, because I'm always afraid to lose it. See, if you got that in your life, you're afraid to lose something, because nothing could stop you. Nothing could stop you.
I love that.
And I wake up every day that I put gloves on, because I got to fight for what's mine, because there's always somebody trying to knock you down.
Yes, sir.
That's not easy to do, especially when you're getting hit with problems. You got to stay focused, and you just got to believe in yourself. That's the key, believe in yourself.
So at what point did the restaurant start taking off? A few years or?
About 6 months, I had I had Dan Marino, the football player, came in with his wife, and I didn't know them.
Yeah.
And I was playing music. I had two little speakers about maybe 15 inches high around. I was playing old Philly music, music that I grew up on. Yeah. And Mrs. Marino comes over to me. She don't know me. She says, "You got a cassette? You got a cassette of this music?" I said, "No, it's all in my head, so I'm just playing as I'm playing." And then my second person was Will Chamberlain. And he loved my cooking. He loved it. But the third person, was a funny story, was Tony Bennett. You kidding me? Tony Bennett? I'm in the gym. I'm working out. And they say to me, Tony Bennett's coming in tonight, but they want a deal. They want a what? They want a deal. I said, I just opened my doors. I can't give them no deal. Well, there's a couple of restaurants that will give them free booze or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't do it. So he wound up coming anyway. So that was like how it started. Then I started to cook for The Sopranos when it was the hottest thing on TV. I cooked for them for like 5 years. The events that they would do, I would go there and cook for them. And we became friends. And then more and more celebrities, James Caan, Shaq. I mean, everybody comes to Martorano.
Oh yeah. I've seen it all the time. So let's backtrack a little bit because you're saying all these people are showing up, and you have Tony Bennett, but what were you doing that was attracting that? Because you had to be doing something right.
No, just flavorful food.
And
Just
you think
good
that the
food.
people were attracted
Yeah.
to that food, and because there's a million Italian restaurants, right?
But not good ones, and not people that make you feel like you're at home.
Mm.
See, when they come in my joint, first thing I say, I know you, I don't know you, welcome home. As soon as they come in, how you doing, cuz? Welcome home. And that
Amazing.
makes people feel like,
Sure.
oh, good. So
Sure. So people started gravitating to that home style
Yes.
environment
Yes,
and
sir.
cooking, and awesome.
But
Awesome.
it's consistent.
Mhm.
Without consistency in your life, you will fail. You ever go to a joint, you ever go to a restaurant that's really good and you tell your friends, and then you go back second time, a little off.
Yep.
Third time, what happened? They changed cook. Never.
I can't tell you how I say that. This restaurant was great. I invite friends over. They tell me I had the shittiest food.
Hurts, don't
I'm
it?
not
Hurts.
trusting you
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
Well, you made a comment when I first got here. Not too many places have the owner still cooking.
No.
It's really, if you think about it, what restaurant now? If you got a new restaurant, a young guys in there,
Sure,
his
sure.
20s,
I
he's
understand.
there. Get a guy 67, 34 years, still on that line, still cooking
Amazing.
every day. But that's why we're still there. We're an institution, I believe, in Fort Lauderdale, and we never really got credit. What hurts me the most is that I believe I'm an institution. Still have 40 to 50 people waiting in line when we open our doors.
Yeah.
But when they write about other places or they write about Fort Lauderdale, we're like never mentioned. And I know it's politics. You don't buy into. I never advertised in my life. I always believed word of mouth was the best advertisement there was. So we never got that credit. Now most people would have left by now. Well, you don't care about me. I still get up in the morning, still go to work like I did the first day. And that's why we're still there.
So I want to go right there. So give me an idea, okay, of what your day looks like. I mean, you stay in good shape.
Try.
I imagine you're at your restaurant till, I don't know, past midnight often.
There were times in the beginning, let's say the first 15 years, I would have to get there at 9 o'clock and stay till like 1 in the morning. But I created a team so organized, like I was telling Maddie and Valerie that my guys would walk through fire for me.
Yeah.
But I had to teach that. I had to make them respect me as I respected them. So now I don't have to get there till like 4:30. But I stay. We open up at 6, so I get my area ready where I cook, and I stay all the way to the end. But what I do is different than anybody else. See, there's a word called IT. If you get it, you get Martorano's. We are the greatest thing since sliced bread. But if you don't get it, we're your worst nightmare because they don't understand what we are. We're not for everybody. We never claim to be. But what I can tell you this, you'll have an experience. And if you come at the wrong time, it might not be for you. That's why we try to tell people, you want to have a conversation, you want to talk to a business meeting, come before 9:30. But when 9:30 comes around, it turns into music, movies, an experience, like a little club. And what I'm doing won't work everywhere, but it works for me. And we've been copied from Boston to New York to Chicago, all trying to do, and get it, you could do it. Anybody could put a TV, put a DJ in, but it's the food. They can't copy the food. That's what, if my food changed, we were closed. We won't be able to survive because people won't come just for the movies and the music. That's an accent to what we're doing. And people, leave your troubles outside. When you walk into Martorano's, have fun. But if you don't get it, we're not for you.
That's great. Your foundation is the food.
Yes, sir.
And I love that.
Thank you.
because that's your base, that's your foundation, that's where you move from. Everything else is great experience, but without the food, like you said, people won't come. So at what point?
1 second. Let me just. I'm going to say this is. I started DJing in my restaurant 34 years ago. Can you name me any restaurant you could remember back then where there was? But today you can go to a sushi restaurant, a bagel joint. There's a DJ in there playing music. I started that.
Yeah.
Before Tal, before these big clubs and restaurants, I was doing it in a little town in Fort Lauderdale.
Amazing. I remember 25 years ago, it was, Martorano's was a place to go dancing on the tables and having a great time, and I that was a very different style, right? It was very different. It wasn't just a nightclub. I mean, you had Christopher's up the road, and so it was a very different style, but the food, like you say, that's what attracts people, number one, in that door.
Yeah, it's the king.
Amazing.
That's the king.
The people.
And consistency, right?
Yes.
Like we talked about. If you got to, I got people coming to me for the past 30 years. I don't know. I don't even go to a restaurant that's been around that long that's consistent. You lose a cook, you lose a chef, you lose a manager. Things change. My guys that work for me, they've all been with me 25
That's
to 30
exactly
years.
what I was going to tell you. How do you get the people around you? Because that's a whole different. We're talking now. As good as your food is, and as good as your environment is, the people around you, to keep them for that long, you have to be leading in a very, very special way. They have to believe in your vision, in your mission, and of course the culture that you develop in that restaurant. So, I mean, let's talk about that. How do these people stay with you for so many years?
It's treating people like human beings. If you're going to bring them into your family, if you're going to do that, take that step, you got to go all the way. So if somebody has a problem, you have to help them, whatever that is. I paid them extremely well, better than other restaurants, because I believe that I'm only as good as them. So without them, I'm nothing without them. So I treat them well. We go on vacation for a month. They get paid for the month. Nobody does that today. And they earn extremely well. And I'm a very high-end, very expensive restaurant, and they make good money. But I treat them all with respect. And if you can treat another human being with respect, they'll give you respect back. And if they don't, then they go out the door. As long as you give me the respect, I'll give you the respect, and that's why they're staying with me.
Awesome. So you've had guys that are people that are with you for 15,
Kids,
20 years?
Dishwashers. I don't have no. Listen,
Wow.
we're not chefs. I never went to culinary school. I can't spell the word culinary. I just watched my mother, my father, and I took my Italian-American heritage and put high-quality ingredients into it and bring it to another level. That's what I do. And I took basically dishwashers that were dishwashers and taught them how to cook. So I was able to teach them what I know. They don't know nothing else but how I know. So they can't. If you bring a different guy in, he has his way of working in another Italian restaurant, you turn your back or you take off for an hour, he's going to do what he wants to do. These guys don't know no better. They only know what I taught them, and that's the way I love it. Yeah.
Strong mindset. Strong mindset,
Thanks,
man.
thanks,
Amazing. I'm going to digress a little bit.
Sure.
Give me an idea of how your day is.
Okay. Let's see. I don't sleep. Okay, I don't sleep. My mind. It's hard for me to shut my mind off, so I don't sleep. If it's 4 hours, that's a lot. I get up in the morning. I thank God as soon as I open my eyes. I go to have an espresso. I'll look at my emails, and there's always a lot. I look at my texts. There's always a lot. I have a couple businesses besides the restaurant, so I'm growing them. So that takes some time. Find out how my girl's her day was so far after I get up, and I get ready for the specials. And we do a special sheet every night. We have an iPad that we show the specials on, so I create that every day.
So you're hands-on every day.
I have to do that.
Wow.
My chef orders my food for me, and we create those specials for the day. So I do that. I go to the gym probably around 3:30, 4:45. I get to the restaurant about 4:30, 4:45. The doors ready to open up. As soon as the doors open up, all you hear is Steve. Like they come. Cause
Hey.
I should be a psychiatrist. I'm in the middle of cooking. I got people come to me and tell me about they got a divorce or their girlfriend broke up in the middle of service.
Oh, my
and now what do you say to the guy? I don't want it to hear you. I'll sit there and listen, right? I wish somebody would listen to me.
Yeah.
But people think the restaurant business is easy. It's the hardest feeling business that you could feel. 90% of restaurants fail.
For sure.
But what I have to go through to make my day right, listen to these people's problems. We give people, people are hurting. And so they know I have a strong faith in God. And they'll say, can you pray for me, pray for my family? Middle of service. And I'll do that. So that's not just cooking. So I got to do that. I got to cook. Then after I'm cooking at 9:30, now I got to entertain all those people. You know how much pressure that is to get your food right, open up, and then cook, and then entertain 5 nights a week. Guys, that takes a lot out of you. When you go home, well, you got his music in your head. It's hard to unwind. And I'm very hard on myself. I could cook 1,000 minutes. If one person said they didn't like it,
You
it
take
was
it
a bad
personal.
night. 1,999 said they loved it.
Wow.
But that one person, but that's my personality.
But that's
I think.
excellence, man. You're striving for excellence, which is a beautiful thing.
Thank
I wish more men would be like that, you know?
Well, it's all how they're raised, right? We had a discussion earlier, how men are raised.
Sure.
They're not raised the way me and you were raised. You know, a lot of them broken families. They're raised by their grandmothers or their aunts. There's no men in their life. There's no role model. Like I say all the time, where's the John Waynes at? Where they at? You know?
Sure.
So it's up to us to try to keep it going, I think.
So, how close are you with God?
I'm sorry, guys.
It's all right, man.
The
It's all
fuck
right.
Sometimes.
It's all right. It's all right. We're here for
He's
this.
my whole life. I was dead, and he took me out of that. I don't start my day. I don't finish my day without thanking him for what he's done for me. Mm-hmm. And I promised him, if I ever could be somebody or make enough money, I'm good. I'm good. I will give back, help as many people as I can. That's all I want out of life, man. Like I got everything I need. I got a beautiful woman. I got a successful business, and I just want to give back. I want to help as many people as I can. I try to tell people, without God, you'll never make it. You won't make it in this world. You think you can, and you might for a little bit, but you will fall. One day you will get on your knees and ask for some help.
Yes.
And it's going to be him.
I agree. Powerful right there, man.
Because, see,
Powerful.
this is the rosary. I carry this wherever I go. And now we're having a conversation. I'm playing Hail Mary, and I'm playing the Our Father as you're talking, just so I don't sound stupid or my words don't come out. I'm not educated, so I just speak from my heart, you know.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. Okay, I think
I'm
that's
not a
why.
punk because I'm not. Listen to me. I know you. I know you are who you are. If I gotta go with you, I'm going with you. I'll go all the
Well,
way
I
with
know
you.
you have
Yeah.
heart, man, and you will stand your ground. I love that, you know. And I've seen you, go live on those alley talks, and that's man. Look, you're speaking your piece, and that's admirable. So let's dive into this a little bit, and I want to stay here for a moment. All right. Difficult things in your life. Okay.
Man, where you going with this?
I mean,
I wear my heart on my sleeve, man. My heart. Yeah. Do I get emotional? My PR guy, Maddie, says, and my girl says, don't. How do I not show my emotion when you're about to speak about something, and I know where you're going to go with it? And then when you talked about God, I'm emotional. It's who I am. So I apologize to your viewers or whatever.
I mean, this is what more men need to see. Yeah. There's authenticity and transparency. That's where the power is. Standing here talking to me in a straight face with no emotions. Yeah, I mean, we can be stoic to a certain extent, but these are powerful things that I think are coming through, and I appreciate you sharing. I really do.
Thank you.
So, it's your journey has not always been an easy one, and you've gone through some very, very, very dark times.
Yes,
and I'm going to open up the gates if you want to talk about it or you don't, but I want to know how I understand God has been a huge part of your life, but mentally, how have you been able to overcome that and still be the man that you are today?
Prayer. No, I'm not going to say nothing else but prayer. I pray constantly. When I say, like, people think, what do you pray? Prayers, oh, it's just talking to God all day. So when you make a decision, you want to make sure it's the right decision. You ask God, help me make. When I walked in here, I said, listen, the guy who he is. I said, guide me to speak the truth. Guide me to show him that who I am. Let him see you through me. Like, we're talking about. You realize we're talking about God? People don't even know how to do that no more. But I say his name all the time. You ask me a question about God, I tell you, he changed my life. And without the prayer, like we just spoke about, I could not be here today, because prayer has got me through everything, and I believe in it 100%. 100%.
When you decided to, I believe every man reinvents
Always.
himself.
All the time.
You know, through these dark times, and at the end you become stronger. You've gone through journeys in your life. You know,
Sure.
I followed you, and you've come always. You're still remaining strong. Give me an idea of what has been in your life one of the most trying times ever.
Losing my son.
Okay. And today you stand here and you are strong. And like you said to me a little bit earlier, the last thing that you would ever want is a father to bury, his son or daughter. And, that choked me up, because I couldn't even imagine. So you finding the strength and faith like you do, and the strong mindset, what would you say to someone that is going through something like this now?
It's not your fault. There's nothing that you've done. If something happened to your child or to you or somebody that you know, God's time is not our time. Listen, you don't think I cursed God up and down when they told me when your son passed away, like this morning? What? I thought you got me. You sorry, you cursed. You can't curse on this thing. So
You can.
I'm just saying, what the
You
fuck
can.
you do to me? I'm supposed to be your warrior. I'm your soldier. You take my son away from me. What the fuck are you to do that to me? That's how mad I was. But then the Holy Spirit came upon me and said, Steve, God has a reason. Might not be what you want, but it's what he wants. And in the end, all things will come to pass. I'll understand why these things happen. And I'm going to see him again, my son. I'm sure he guides me, he prays for me like I pray for him. So I don't judge God through that. Was I mad? Yes. But you have to let it go. You got to let that anger go. You won't move forward. And me, I'm the guy that's got to keep moving forward. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And I see that you celebrate his life, and you're,
Yes, sir.
it's amazing. It's
And
amazing.
he was me. He was going to take over. He loved music. He loved food. That's me. I have another son who I love dearly, Stephen Jr. He has a whole different personality. And I love him just as much as I love my son, Joey. But Joey was the one that was going to take over for me. Now I don't have that. But, that's the hard. You know how hard that is to get up and you ain't got nobody to leave it to? Think about that, cuz. You wake up in the morning, you're breaking your ass. What the fuck do I leave this to?
Yeah.
But I look at it this way. What would my son want me to do? Just keep moving forward. And as I'm moving forward, as we're speaking about my son, I'm bringing attention and awareness to my son. So I'm keeping his name alive. That's why I'm doing it. So
Awesome. Powerful. So let's go back to reinventing yourself. You come out of this dark time, and now from the looks of it, I mean, you are a happy man.
Yes, sir.
I see
God
that
is
you have
good.
this happy glow, like
Yes,
this
sir.
certain sense of accomplishment,
Peace.
yes, a certain sense of peace. Tell me where you are now in your life.
I have never been more. Listen, I was never motivated by money. I was never motivated by power. I was always motivated by just doing the right thing. So my life has been ups and downs, a lot of heartache, a lot of things. I'm going to answer your question. I had a triple bypass 15 years ago, man, when I was in Vegas. And I went to work 3 months after. I had a stroke a year ago. I went to work the next day. I'm in the hospital. They told me I had a stroke. This is what you need to do. And I went to work. I'm back on the line cooking. This is what I do. Then in the middle, I lose my son. Anybody else would have blew their brains out or would have ran away.
Damn.
But I'm not. And I just lost my train of thought. Just go back to tell me what you.
Well, basically, I want to know, you reinvented who you are now to
Right.
where are you today, right? Like
I'm at
getting
peace. I'm at peace than I've never been before. And the reason why, it's the people. I've always tried to surround myself with people that I can learn from, people that are good for me.
Yes.
Sometimes in my life, I had not the right people around me. And,
Yes.
and I was going down, say, that road. So today, I won't associate. My circle is so small, it's a straight line. I don't associate. I don't hang with anybody. I get done work. I go home to my girl, who I will marry very shortly. And she changed. This girl, Valerie, it's an Italian girl from South Philly, my own neighborhood. I never wanted to date a South Philly girl. So I didn't want to do that. And she wound up being a girl from South Philly, but she was a God. This is how God works. God put this person in my life for a reason at this time. Because I was a street guy. I ran this. Remember you said to me about growing up? I said I grew up when I was 55. That's when I grew up. I drank, I partied, I did a lot of bad things. But today I'm a whole different, I'm a new creature in Christ.
Yeah.
I'm a new creature. And God put her in my life to show me that there is a better way out there. And it's only been a year, but I feel like I know this girl all my life. I knew if my mother was still alive, my mother would have said, "This is for you, son." And I'm grateful that she even, once an old guy like me, you know what I'm saying? She's younger than me. I think she's 55 years old. And she's just changed my life. Everything that I do, she encourages me. If a man could find a woman that could encourage him and lift him up, even when he's down, and we could get down on ourselves really hard.
Sure.
This girl just has a positive. She's so positive I get mad sometimes. That's enough with the positivity. She says, "No, it's all going to be good," and she has changed my life. I'm in the best place I've ever been in my life. Ever been.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Really happy.
So everything you said, masculinity, leadership, tenacity, resiliency, I mean, these are all traits of your life story.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to today's society,
Okay.
where we are as men, I believe that especially the younger generation that's coming up, they're losing that edge, that warrior mentality, that sense of resiliency that you've brought into your world many times over. Where do you think that we're losing that? Do you think that we're losing that at home or maybe in schools or?
Because everything starts at home. Don't think, and then the school system, that's a whole nother realm they got to deal with. Like I said to you, I wouldn't change how I grew up. These kids today, it's sad. They have no leadership. Like I said to you earlier, there's no John Waynes no more. You said
Yes.
a kid, they don't even know who John Wayne is, right? But there is no John Waynes no more, and that's the sad part. Fathers, there's so much responsibility that they have to, but that's just part of being a father. Some get into it too young, they're not ready for it, and they get bombarded, and all they want to do is run. It's easier to go run, but eventually you got to face your responsibilities. You have to. But there's nobody to show them. What you're doing is terrific, and I'm so proud of you
Thank
that
you.
you're able to bring that to these kids. I don't know if they're mentally ready, because I don't know if it's just too late. I don't know. I mean, I don't give up. I'll keep spreading that word. You keep doing what you're doing. Hopefully we could change a little bit of this. But it's a fight. It's going to be a major fight. Man.
Now, you've been in this country, in this state of Florida for many, many years. And of course, now we've had a good governor across the board where
Yes.
it shields the state, from some of the other states out there. So we are, at the very least, I don't think that we've seen the worst here, as far as, this mentality of all this type of the world, unfortunately, where everything is now or was focused on, transgender and the gay, lesbian movement. And listen, I have no problems with any of that. Mm-hmm. They can do it, privately and in their own world. But in my world, when you're trying to stick it in my kid's face in school and you're trying to, I have a big problem with that. And luckily here in Florida, we haven't really realized that. With that said, you said it all starts at home. The problem that we have here in this country overall is that a lot of these homes, over 68% of them, are woman-only home. The fathers have abdicated their roles; they've left, and I think that sense of masculinity is very rare. I love the fact that you're mentioning John Wayne. I mean, we can go back, even Sean Connery types and things like that. You're saying to yourself, why can't men be like that anymore? Where is the elegance, the chivalry? So I want to go down that road here a little bit and talk about that, because I believe, right off the bat, you're a well-dressed guy. I can see it. The way you carry yourself, there's an elegance about you. And I believe that every man, and it doesn't really matter what they do so much, but it's how they carry themselves. I think that's powerful. And I think as men, we've lost that command presence, the elegance, the chivalry, the opening the doors for a lady. I mean, is this something that you still live by?
Because I'm a soldier, man. I'm an old school G. I'm OG. I still open the door for my girl, and she knows she does. If her daughters, she has 3 beautiful daughters. When they're around us, I hear her say, "Watch." I'll open the door for them. She see, that's what a real man does. So she tries to instill what I learned to the daughters too. When they date or the people they're dating, I try to fix that. So open the door for me. Or you're going to the store, honey. What can I get you? You gotta listen. As men, we are leaders. We are leaders of the household. The men are. But you also got to be a giver, right? You got to step back and put other people first. Though you're the leader and you're going to handle everything, but you got to put your wife here. You have to put your kids here. You're here. You're really up here, but you're here. You got to do whatever you need to do to make sure everybody's safe, well, but you got to step back and you got to give more of yourself. I think the men today who take off, I have no respect for them. They'll never get nowhere in this life. Because they think they're owed something, or they think it's better on the other side. Because I know for sure that it's not greener on the other side. But that's the way he was taught by his father. The homes are all busted up. Until the men get back to take a responsibility and take that oath for better, for worse, to death do you part, it's not going to change. It's not really going to change. Again, I go back. If you don't have God in your marriage, God in your home, if you don't pray with your family, you're going to wind up getting busted up. That's why God's so important. But people don't see that. I don't know why.
I think men today lack a protective instinct. I think they're not truly protectors of their families. One of the things that we teach here is, the man is the protector. He is the provider. But at the same time, as you stated, your woman is the backbone of your family. Like my wife, she is, I have her up here in a pedestal. And, she's a stay-at-home mom and whatever, but her work is very, very intense. And
we couldn't do it.
Me
and you can't do
not
it.
Not in a million years. I would never trade. But, there's a sense of respect. And I believe that the woman in a relationship with a man should always have a certain sense of admiration for her man.
True.
And typically men don't understand that because men are not leading and they're not doing the work and they're not growing and getting stronger. And in some senses, like you're building an empire, your empire. And I believe the woman should always stand by the side of the man and push him and drive him forward to be that empire builder.
Sure.
But in this day and age where most households are, unfortunately, you don't see that. You see basically the man in the background and the woman going out there and leading. And there is a lack of synergy and really true balance, because there's the masculine and feminine balance. If it's out of whack like that, it's never going to work.
Yes, sir.
So going back to the protector mode, I really believe that men need to start learning how to protect their families. So with that said, I mean, do you feel in your soul that if you needed to step up and protect your family, that you would rise up to that occasion?
It's not even a question. Because that's what men are supposed to do.
Exactly.
That's it. And I go back to when you do what you're supposed to do, things work. If you do the right thing, it works. What man could not want to be the head of his household and protect his family? That's an honor. It's not a job. That's an honor to be able to say, I'm the guy who's protecting my family. That's an honor, and so I hope we can change it, cuz. I really do. I hope we can change it. I pray about it all the time, but
Without a doubt. All right, tell me a little bit about your books. All right, you've written multiple books. Okay, I mean, these are best-selling books. So here you are. You're an entrepreneur, have a kick-ass restaurant, and then you are writing books, and I mean, what inspired you to actually get this out there, get the word out?
There's a little story to this, and I'll share it with you. I published my first book, which is called Yo Cuz, My Food, My Life, My Way. It was my book in my words. I put the pictures in. We had a company publish it for me. And I had a guy say to me, I have an agent from Random House, Knopf. I want to send you to her. So I took the book into our office, and she looked at it. She says, nice book, but it's already published. I can't help you. When you do your second book, I said, what? Second book? Because it took me a year just to do this book. So
Sure.
I left. About 2 hours later, she calls me. She goes, I need you to come back. Well, I went back. She goes, this should be republished. Let me find out. In 24 hours, Knopf offered me a deal to do a book, which is called It Ain't Sauce, It's Gravy. That's another subject in itself. So I did that. I mean, that was not giving up, right? It's another version of my life of doing it myself, not listening to you can't get it done. I did it. And then when I couldn't get it published, it happened for me because I kept pushing and pushing and pushing. So they're both sold out. They have to get republished again. That's how popular they are. So I'm grateful for that. But it's just another step of not giving up and just believing in yourself.
Are you focused now on really building your brand? Is that one of the things that you're focused on?
Yeah. God puts people in your life for a reason. And I had a lot of bad people and I had a lot of good people. Well, right now, God has put me on this journey. And I have a business manager, and his name is John Mosier, MBB Management. And he's been managing my business. He opened the door to a gentleman named Eddie Greco out of Chicago. He has a company called Greco and Sons. One of the biggest distributors probably out in Chicago and all East Coast too. He approached me. He says, I know you got sauce. Did you ever think about doing food service? I don't know nothing about that. And he explained to me how we can get my meatballs and my sausage, the famous Martorano meatballs, come up with it production-wise and make it right. Because if it ain't right, I ain't putting it out. No amount of money. He says, yeah, we could do it. And about almost a year and a half, we have our meatballs that are done, our sausage that is done, our food service for our sauce, our marinara that's going to be in every Cisco house in the country.
Wow.
You have any idea? A guy like me from South Philadelphia, I can't
love
spell. And that's my home run. And people say to me, you work every day. How are you going to retire? Watch me. See, I could spend it. I just don't have enough to spend it. So when this gets launched, I think it's in March. We're going to be in Vegas for the pasta and pizza convention. And we're launching the food service for that. So that's my home run. And if it grows the way I expect it to grow, and probably maybe one day we sell the company, that's my home run, just to go enjoy the rest of my life. That don't happen for guys like me.
Yeah, well, I mean, somehow I think you're always going to be in the game.
Think so?
Yeah, I think you're always, one way or another, you're going to be somehow in the game.
I just can't lay down.
Yeah, you're a warrior, man. You're a warrior. You're through and through. You have another restaurant, right?
In Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh.
Rivers Casino. It's a steakhouse called Martorano's Prime. We're going on almost 6 years.
Nice.
It keeps growing and growing and growing. I don't want to really open up any more restaurants. There's an opportunity for me, I think, in Atlantic City. I'll know more come Friday night. I was in Atlantic City for about 10 years, and it was time to part ways. I have an opportunity to come back. That might be my last restaurant, because I took a stroke, the last one, to open up.
I was going to ask you that. I mean, I could only imagine. I mean,
that's nothing, man.
Yeah.
Really, it's nothing. I don't even think about it. I swear, I don't think about my bike. Listen,
What?
when I hear a funny story, real, I'll tell you a funny story. I had the bypass, and after about a month, I started to sit in my pool and take 2-pound weights, right, and just do this.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was 5 pound. Then I got to about 10 pound. Then I went back to the gym after 2 months. Now I'm working out. I'm just left it very late. My doctor calls me. Steve, how you doing? How you feeling? I said, Doc, when can I get back to the gym? I'll give it a couple more months. I said, all right, Doc, thanks. But I went back to the gym. I just kept doing it and doing it. I never looked backwards. Looked backwards.
Wow.
Just can't give up. You got to keep moving forward.
Oh no, you're definitely, you embody that warrior spirit.
Sir.
You know, you keep on moving forward, and the fact is that, you know, when I look at your restaurant, it is definitely an establishment in the South Florida area without a doubt.
Thank you. It means a lot.
And you know, honestly, it's for a guy that runs it the way you run it. You know, I've seen you, talk about everything is impeccable. You clean the kitchen often. Everything is, you have created a culture, a downright culture there, where it's, you're leading from the front. You're there, so it's something very, very powerful. To me, because this is what I do. I train men. I've been doing this now we're around 8 years. So while we do train young men, I mean, that's a little bit of part of, but we train grown men. We take them away into very, very high level programs. And we break men down. That's what we do. We break them down and we give them an opportunity to rise. And, we just recently was proposed something that we're going to be probably moving forward on with a Netflix type of documentary. So we're excited about that. But like you said, I wake up in the mornings. My mission is to forge men stronger. And I feel like I'm doing God's work just like you. So that's a great, great feeling to speak to another man who, from everything that I can see right now, you have your life, you're executing at the highest of levels.
Yes, sir.
So my hat goes off to you for that.
How about you? What do you do? How do you get through the day?
Well, that's a good question. My day usually starts off with grace. One of the things that I do, I get down on my knees and I pray. I have a very specific, I call it the warrior's hour. I go in, I take a very, very cold shower. I hit the gym. But my day is very methodical. I have very, very strong calendar. Every day I'm in meetings, doing things, traveling. But I'm very much into self-discipline and structure. And my life is based on, literally little increments. But one thing that I don't ever do is take away time from my family. My family time is there every single day. I don't care what I have going on. I make sure that if I'm home, that I sit down with my family at my table. We give grace and we eat together. That's just something that I came up with since I was a little boy. So has been very, very powerful for me.
Your father strong?
My father is strong right now. He's still alive, and he's always was a very, very strong family man. He's one of those guys that will put his family above anything. So I was raised in my parents had me when I was very, very young. I'm the oldest of 4 brothers. My brothers are doctors and chiropractors in the area, and they're all, have tremendous lives. But we all come from that same blood, family first. That's just my mentality. So, and, I look at a man like you and I say, well, one of the things that I said, I want to have him on. I feel like his story is powerful. I think that he is raw and authentic, and we need to have more men like you in this world that are good. There's a term that we use. It's called makoto. Makoto means sincerity of heart, right? You have that sincere way about you, and I appreciate you really, being on here, sharing your story. And hopefully this will inspire men because look, you're not a spring chicken, but you act like a man in your 30s and 40s. And I love that. And it's very, very powerful.
Well, you started your conversation with me that when you wake up, it's your grace. You talk to God in the morning.
Yes.
And when I was talking about my girl Valerie, when she met me, she saw that my faith was strong in my life. If I don't talk about God, He won't remember me when I die. Right? He won't
Yes.
know me. So she made a prayer room in one of my bedrooms in my house. She turned it into a place where you can sign a card where you got a problem and you leave it on the altar. I have a crucifix. I have Padre Pio there. I got a Blessed Mother
amazing.
statue, and we could sit and kneel and talk to God. It's a private. You shut the door. It's a room with you and God in it. She did that for me as soon as I met her. I mean, that's how wonderful she is.
Amazing.
I'm blessed, guys. I'm blessed.
Well, speaking of Padre Pio, I got
Uh-oh.
you a couple of things little here
Wow.
that are for you.
My
'Cause,
man.
I
My
know.
man.
I know that
Yes,
you're
sir.
very close.
That's my guy.
You know, so
That's my guy.
I'm hoping that
That's beautiful, cuz. I get this blessed. Before I get home, I'll take it to the priest and he'll bless it for me.
there's another little thing in here too. I know that you're into rosaries,
My
and
man.
that's Padre Pio rosary there.
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
I
cuz. I'm
appreciate
blessed.
you.
Oh, thank you, cuz. Thank you. You can pray to him too. You Catholic? I don't know.
I was born and raised Catholic, yes. So, you know, I at this point, I feel that, you know, we're very close to God. My wife she's a pastor,
Wow.
and my wife's father is a very renowned pastor also.
Wow.
So,
Wow. God bless you.
yeah,
That's
we're
great, man.
very close to God.
Good.
Steve,
better
man,
place to be,
thank you for
cuz.
being on, brother.
God bless you,
Okay,
my brother. I
this
got
has
you.
been
You
an
need
incredible.
me for anything. I'm here for you, cuz.
Of course,
I mean
man.
I give you my word.
God bless you,
You
man.
too, cuz.
Thank you.
You too.